The doors of his bedchamber were carved with prancing stags and twisting lions. But this night, Tywin Lannister found even their familiar heraldry unsteady against the wavering torchlight. A breath caught in his throat, harsh as gravel, and watered pain raced along his belly where linen wrappings clung. The maester had said the quarrel had missed the liver by little more than a finger's width. Little more, yet enough for life to cling, as life always did when the Lion of Casterly Rock commanded it. Outside the shutters, the moon rode low above Blackwater Bay, half devoured by cloud. The air smelled of summer storm, green leaves being crushed in some distant garden, and the faint iron tang of his own blood. He let that scent anchor him. Blood was truth, clean, undeniable, necessary, and truth had a way of rooting men in places more firmly than any throne. A quiet step scurried behind him, Kevin moving like a ghost in his stockinged feet, careful not to rouse already frayed nerves. "Brother," Kevin murmured, pitching his voice low. "You should be resting." Tywin did not turn. "I have rested enough, and have dreamt too much." His eyes tracked the moon. "Where is Cersei?" "Asleep at last, with a flask of dream wine." Kevin's face was carved from worry and sleepless nights, but the lines of duty held it firm. "She would not leave your side until Grand Maester Pycelle swore the wound was knitting. She loved father too." The words tasted of raw iron. Jaime had said them once, in a distant corridor of Casterly Rock. Nose bloodied after some brawl Tywin never bothered to remember. Those words haunted him now. Every Lannister loved Tywin, after their fashion, when it suited them, when it cost them little. He exhaled. "Summon Pycelle again at dawn. I will sit the throne tomorrow." "Tomorrow?" Kevin's white brows arched. 10 days passed, you were half dead in your own privy. Let Pycelle study your humors at least. "No, but..." Tywin gathered himself, pulling shoulders straight until stitches threatened to tear. He would not let his brother see the flinch. The realm cannot wait on a convalescent lord. Nor will it believe the lion still roars if he languishes behind bed curtains. Kevin's mouth worked, but obedience won. "Very well. I will prepare the throne room." "Good. And bring me all the ravens that speak of Slaver's Bay." "Now Shane." That stilled Kevin. "You mean the girl with dragons?" "I mean Daenerys Targaryen," Tywin said, savoring the taste of the name. "A queen in fact, if not in law, with beasts the size of galleys. 3 of them." He closed his eyes, listening to the slow pump of his heart. "Westeros has forgotten what Valyria looked like beneath a red sky. I have not. I read the histories to Jaime when he was 6. Fire that melted castle walls. We must decide if such fire shall burn against our banners, or whether it may consume our foes instead." "Now Ash." Kevin's silence stretched a long time. Night creaked in the beams overhead. Finally he said, "You would treat with her." "I would own her dragons," Tywin amended, "or break them." 3 floors below, in a windowless room that smelled of damp parchment, Qyburn bent over a narrow table. By turn he applied rose oil to one ragged bit of flesh, then slithered a bronze hook through the rent as though stitching up a corpse's smile. The corpse was not corpse, though its eyes stared blind at the ceiling. Gregor Clegane's chest rose weakly, ribs protruding like half a zunk prows. 8 weeks since Oberyn Martell's spear had found purchase. 4 since poison had chewed him open. Miracles, men whispered, or perhaps darker arts. Qyburn called them merely techniques. A sand-coated raven croaked from its perch. Qyburn glanced at it. "Patience, my friend. One more horoscope soon." The raven flicked its cut wing, bones showing where feathers had been stripped, and clacked its beak shut again. Footsteps rang in the corridor, fast, purposeful. The door flung wide, and Lord Varys entered clad in voluminous dove-gray silks. He drew a scented handkerchief across his teeth. "The smell in here," he said mildly, "has all the charm of a Myrish tannery." Qyburn's smile never reached his eyes. "If the realm is to be protected, we must sometimes soil our senses." "Indeed." Varys's gaze slid to Sir Gregor's twitching fingers, then back. "The hand requires a report on your charge. When might the mountain climb again?" Soon, Qyburn murmured. Though when he stands, he shall be someone else entirely. Varys cocked his head. Names are such fluid things, good master. Let us hope this new creature answers promptly when the hand calls. Morning brought thunder, a first crack, then a rolling that made stained glass tremble in the sept and set doves swirling from the rookery. Rain speared down, darkening the gilded tiles of the throne room roof. The Iron Throne itself loomed under sullen light, like a corpse king. Yet Tywin walked its length without falter, each step measured, the weight of a dozen kingdoms pressing through thin leather soles and up aching legs. Sir Meryn Trant called out titles, his voice echoing against stone. Protector of the Realm, Warden of the West, Hand of the King. Tywin let those words fill the chamber. Let any who doubted hear. Cersei stood beside the throne in a gown of black shot with crimson, her eyes gold as a trapped hawk's. When she saw her father, relief twisted into anger there. But anger was relief for those who ruled by it. He understood. The small council bowed. Grand Maester Pycelle's joints creaked like oaken hinges. Qyburn merely dipped. Lord Giles Rosby coughed blood into a linen square embroidered with roses. And Varys? Where was Varys? Tywin's gaze flicked over balding courtiers and found only absence. He sat. A hush settled thick as new snow. Torches hissed in the damp air. Tywin studied the faces before him, a kingdom of men and motives. Some waiting to see if a wounded lion could still bear fangs. Some hoping the lion would stumble so they might feast. All of them, at this moment, his. Lord Varys, he said, voice carrying easily. Absent. Pycelle shuffled. Gone at first light, my lord. A matter of urgent import, so his scribe claimed. Tywin folded his hands atop the armrest of black steel. Urgent matters belong here before the throne. Find him. He turned on Sir Adam Marbrand, commanding the gold cloaks now that Jaime had taken the white. Any word of the dwarf? The word tasted bitter. He allowed it. None, my lord. Riverland's harbor brigands enough to swallow one dwarf whole. We pursue every report. Tywin nodded once. Double the reward for information leading to his capture. Remind tavern keepers the lion pays true and swift. And see or he. A stir of parchment brought him next to Pycelle, who unrolled a sodden scroll. A raven from Volantis. They say Daenerys Targaryen now sits Meereen in Tyre. Her dragons burn slave caravans in the hinterlands. Slave waits in Astapor, and Yunkai have been renewed at her behest. The Sellsword Captain Dario, Naharis leads her outriders. Pair numbers. Pycelle cleared his throat. 8,000 unsullied, perhaps half again as many freedmen. 3 dragons. The largest near fully grown. No, the courtiers muttered. Steel scraped as a hedge knight shifted stance. Tywin let the fear simmer. Then he spoke. Raise no banners against her. Not yet. His voice was iron without rust. There will be letters, courtesies. She calls herself queen. The realm has had queens before. The question is not who she says she is, but whose enemies she would burn. Some faces relaxed as if hearing a stay of execution. Others tightened, glimpsing the gears turning behind his green eyes. Only Cersei stared straight ahead, jaw set like stone. When the day's petty matters were done, raider sightings in the Arbor, grain tariffs in Gulltown, Tywin rose, every rib in his side, screaming against Suture. He ignored it. The realm would bleed if he bled. Better one man suffer. That night, Candleglow painted twin halos on the tabletop map of Westeros. Blackwater Bay glimmered with melted wax. The narrow sea burned gold. Cersei leaned over the coast, her fingers playing among the painted rocks of Dragonstone. You would court the Dragon Queen. She spat, court like poison. Father, have you taken leave of your senses? Tywin moved a dynasty's worth of silver lions across the board. Do you see sense in sending the crown's dwindling armies across the sea to fight 3 dragons? Or perhaps you trust the faith militant boys you armed last year? She folded arms under her breasts. I trust our walls and our coffers. Dragons do not swim. If she dares cross the narrow sea, her beasts must fly ahead, alone, over cold water. Those scaly horrors grow weak after long flights. Untrue. He slipped a parchment toward her. A Valyrian scholar's treatise on draconic endurance. Balerion the Black Dread flew from Dragonstone to Dorne and back. Dragons tire, yes, but half the crown lands would be ash before they landed. Cersei glanced, then tossed the page aside. So we beg mercy? We bargain strength, Tywin corrected. His finger tapped the parchment again. We have grain. We have gold, iron, hard-forged steel. She has fear, hunger, and slaves who would name her mother. Fear and hunger are poor allies. Offer her a Westerosi husband and half a realm, and she shall give us her fire in exchange. Say. At last, she saw the true game board and drew back. Horror dawning. You mean to wed her to Jaime? A tremor cracked her voice. No, I will not allow it. I would sooner. Jaime. Tywin's laugh was a cough. He is Lord Commander. He may father no heirs. The Kingsguard would not release him, nor would honor. He let the silence loom before releasing the final move. No, my daughter. I mean to offer her Tyrion. Impossible. Cersei's lip curled, as if the taste of that name fouled her mouth. She would spit in your face. The imp killed her father. Though the singers claim, Tywin allowed. He reached for a cup, sipped watered wine, savored its chill down his throat. Yet he killed a mad king who murdered her kin and burned the city. Perhaps she will value avengers over flatterers, or she will burn him where he stands. Not if he bends the knee at her feet, rings heavy with casterly gold. Tywin studied the flicker of candlelight in the ruby wine. And not if his father stands beside him. To show good faith, Cersei stared. You would sail to Meereen yourself? In your state? In Dewan. His eyes hardened. I would sail wherever dragons roost if the future of House Lannister lies in their shadows. We are rich, Cersei, but gold is soft. Fire melts it. Dragons do not care for debts. They care for tribute. If we do not offer tribute, we shall pay in corpses. The rain hammered harder against the windows, like fists demanding entry. Cersei turned to the darkened panes as though seeing beyond, to the smoking pyramids, to black wings blotting suns. Yet behind her reflection, Tywin saw something else flicker. A child afraid of thunder. And children, he thought, grow only as strong as the walls we build around them. 400 leagues away, atop the honey-colored ramparts of Meereen, Daenerys Targaryen pressed a hand to smooth pink plaster where new gargoyles had been affixed. The gargoyles were lions, open-mawed teeth chipped in artful ruin, roaring as if they had devoured Meereen's old harpy icons. A macabre whim of the Braavosi sculptor, though she had taken it as omen. Behind her, Grey Worm stood silent, spear grounded. The freedman chanted her newest title from streets below. Rhaenys Reborn, Breaker of Chains, Dragon Queen. Their voices rose like incense smoke through the drizzle. Dario lounged against a parapet, blue hair damp. Tell me your thoughts, my bloodhofme heart. You gaze at stone lions with a lover's yearning. She brushed rain from her brow. I think of Westeros, of the real lions who rule there. Lions? The sellsword chuckled. Far across the water behind castles fat as pigs. Let them roar in their pens. She did not smile. The last time lions and dragons met, my house lost everything but 3 eggs. Her hand settled on the slender golden chain at her throat, where a dragon's fang hung polished and pale. I would not repeat defeat. Dario's glance flickered toward the distant horizon. I have known many masters, some paid in silver, some in blood. But you are the first to weigh every coin twice before paying any. Caution, my queen, is a fine cloak, yet in heat of battle, a cloak may catch on bramble and slow the swordgarm. His words unsettled her more than the rain. She looked again at the plaster lions and saw her brother's face, pinched and pale, demanding a crown. Saw her father's, wild and cruel from the stories. Saw a boy king's jaw square with arrogance, golden in every inch. How many lions had her forebears burned? And how many would demand the same of her? Behind her, the clatter of boots announced Missandei. The girl bowed, curls beaded with rain. "A ship from Lannisport, my queen. Flaunting red sails stitched with golden lions, it lies in harbor with a peace banner." Daenerys' breath caught. "And its envoy? A lord." The letter names him Sir Adam Marbrand, but he travels in honor of Lord Tywin Lannister, hand to King Tommen of the Seven Kingdoms. "Man?" At the name, Dario straightened, rainwater sluicing off sky-blue silk. "Tywin Lannister?" He spat the taste. "The old lion lives?" "So the ravens claimed," Grey Worm said, voice stripped of wonder. Daenerys traced the lion gargoyle's chipped fang. A living Tywin to treat with a living dragon queen. Once, long ago, her brother Viserys had sworn Tywin would bend the knee or feed the crows. Now Viserys lay unmourned in the Dothraki Sea, and Tywin strode still at the heart of power. "I will receive his envoy," she said at last. "But we chain dragons no more. Let them see our fire in the sky." She stepped from the parapet, letting rain braid silver into her pale hair. Below, in the broad plaza of shattered harpy statues, Rhaegal wheeled once, green wings slicing the mist. Drogon, greater than any war galleon, crouched upon a broken obelisk and trumpeted a guttural challenge that made gargoyles vibrate in their niches. His shadow swallowed the plaza whole. Daenerys lifted her face to that shadow. A storm might drown kings, yet dragons outflew storms. Still she could taste salt on her lips like blood, and wondered if perhaps both seas and wars were made of the same deep red. Far upriver from Meereen, a ramshackle skiff slipped through threads thick as spears. Mud sucked at barnacled hull. Tyrion Lannister crouched beneath a tarpaulin, smeared with fish scales and mildew, his breath coming in wheezes. Around him, Illyria's servants kept silent watch. Men too lean for guards, too hard-guyed for merchants. Tyrion's mind gnawed on memory. Shay's necklace tangled in fingers, the crossbow strings recoil. His father's face, wide with astonishment, slack with sudden youth when death took hold. "Yet he lives," Tyrion murmured, barely a whisper. "Your pardon?" The nearest guard leaned in. "Nothing." Tyrion ducked deeper into shadow. If Tywin truly breathed still, the world had shifted on some hidden axis. A father should remain slain when his son murders him. That was the entire purpose of patricide. Yet the old bastard stood again, presumably roaring for the imp's head. He pressed palms to temples. "No, Dot. This is some mummer's tale. My crossbow. No man survives bolts in the bowels." "Nay." The Blackwater had taught Tyrion that men survived more than books allowed. Even he had. He fingered the scar that cleft his trim beard in twain, remembering heat and wildfire green. Footsteps pounded aft. Young Griff, though his dyed blue beard disguised none of his princely gait, ducked inside. "We put ashore within the hour. From there, journey by horse for Meereen. Be prepared." Tyrion waggled fingers. "Prepared for queens or prepared for sails?" "Both," young Griff said, eyes glinting. "My father, that is, Lord Connington, believes Daenerys may aid us." "Of course he does." Tyrion's gaze slid upward to river mist. A queen without a throne meeting a prince without a kingdom. What could be more fitting? He did not voice the darker thought. If Tywin Lannister courted the Dragon Queen first, Griff's little dream could shatter before it woke. In the Red Keep's ravenry, night air smelled of wet quills and sour guano. Varys moved silently between tiered cages, finger trailing along iron bars. A single lantern flickered behind him, but he carried no flame. He could see in darkness well enough. Years in the underbowels had taught him. He paused at one cage where a white raven perched, feathers plump as snowdrifts. A courier from the citadel, bred to fly farther than common birds. On his ankle gleamed a lacquered scroll case. Varys lifted the raven, crooned nonsense to soothe it, and pried open the case. A single sliver of parchment bore the sigil of House Hightower. written in pale ink no thicker than spider web. The maiden lights a path across black water. The lion marches south. The rose reels. When three heads breathe, the kraken wakes. Varys folded the note into his sleeve. Prophecy, riddles, or trap. The Citadel played its own Game of Thrones, though slower than kings, deeper than spies. He replaced the raven, locked the cage, and glided away, though not before nicking the bird's breast with a tiny knife. A bead of blood welled scarlet, hidden beneath white. No messenger flew untouched. Small guards for large secrets. Beyond the tower, the Stormland's thunder rolled nearer. Varys smiled at its promise. Storms covered many sounds. The creak of oars, the rasp of swords, the fall of a kingdom. Tywin found sleep only when the third candle guttered out. Dreams came on swift wings, a throne forged of gold and rubies, above which dragons wove ebon knots. At its foot knelt a dwarf in crimson doublet, crown of jet balanced upon his brow, while a silver-haired queen stroked his cheek with long fingers tipped in talon. "Father," the dwarf said, "you taught me debts must always be paid." Thunder cracked, and Tywin woke drenched. He lay still, pulse hammering in throat, until dawn's pale blush seeped like milk through the shutters. The ache in his belly flared, but he held it. Pain was iron, embrace it, and it would forge purpose. A quill, an inkwell parchment. He summoned them. Words spilled, measured and sharp, across crisp vellum. An invitation to alliance, an offer of marriage, threads of flattery woven around steel. He wrote not to Daenerys, but to her grace. Daenerys Stormborn of House Targaryen, Queen of the Andals and the Rhoynar and the First Men, Lady of the Seven Kingdoms, Protector of the Realm. Titles mattered. He gave them all, as bait. At last he placed seal to wax. A lion's head roaring around a single onyx bead. The bead he pressed in himself, a dragon's eye, black as promise. On the galley Queen's Mercy, Captain Miles Toyne watched Tywin Lannister climb gingerly across plank from royal barge to deck. Thunderheads bruised the horizon. Gulls whirled like scraps of parchment caught in wind. Even wounded, Tywin's presence commanded silence. Sailors bowed. Oarsmen paused mid-stroke. Kevin followed, carrying a scroll case fastened by golden chain. At Tywin's nod, Kevin locked it inside a cedar chest bound in brass. Captain Toyne cleared his throat. "Sir Adam Marbrand sails ahead with the letter, my lord. Yet the Bay of Dragons swarms with reavers. If we follow too close, what lion fears a few fish?" Tywin's voice, calmer than the sea. "We sail." The captain inclined. "Aye, my lord. But storms breed krakens." His weather-lined face turned toward clouds. "And dragons call storms." Tywin's gaze tracked the same line, a pale slash of scarlet where sunrise bled through thunder. "Then let krakens come. Let storms break." In the hush that followed, his words dropped like iron in deep water. "I have faced children with crossbows. The sea holds no terrors greater. Yet somewhere under deck, where bilgewater sloshed and lamp oil smoked, Tyrion's shadow still lingered in his mind, and in quieter moments, Tywin wondered whether a son's hatred might prove a sharper tooth than any dragon's. Back in Meereen, Sir Adam Marbrand knelt before Daenerys upon the marble dais of her audience hall. Torchlight shimmered off mosaic floors, dragons spiraling around a lion choked in flame. The hall had once boasted a harpy throne. She had replaced it with a plain seat of dark teak carved by freed Giscari artisans. Strength in simplicity, they said. Strength, yes, and statement. Marbrand bowed so low his plumed helm scraped stone. "Your Grace, I bring greetings from Lord Tywin Lannister, hand to King Tommen Baratheon, Protector of the Realm." Her blood riders flanked her. Grey Worm, Dario, Skahaz the Shavepat, while Missandei translated. Yet her dragons perched overhead needed no words. Drogon watched the Lannister envoy with a serpent's stillness, yellow eyes vast as shields. Sir Adam rose, removing his helm. Dusty gold hair clung to sweat at his temples. Salt crystals dotted his beard. His gaze sought the queen's but never challenged it. He drew forth a velvet case and lifted its lid. Within glimmered a torque of beaten red gold, set with a single fiery opal. "The lion offers tribute," he said. "Token of goodwill." Daenerys regarded it. "And what does this lion ask in return?" "Lions seldom gift meat without expecting blood." Sir Adam cleared his throat. "My lord seeks only peace between our realms, and proposes union, a marriage that might forge such peace." Dario laughed under his breath. "Will he come wed you himself, the old fox?" Adam's cheeks colored, but he held her gaze. "Lord Tywin suggests his son, Tyrion of House Lannister, once Hand of the King, known throughout Westeros for wisdom and statecraft." A hush fell. The unsullied standing sentinel did not move. They might have been statues. Even the torches seemed to gutter in anticipation. Daenerys leaned back, expression unreadable. "I hear Tyrion Lannister murdered his father. How fares a kingdom whose heirs slay their sires?" "The realm stands," Sir Adam said, desperation cracking his calm. "And Lord Tywin lives still." At that, murmurs rippled through the hall. Daenerys' eyes narrowed. "Then rumor lies," she said softly, "as rumor so often does." She gestured. Grey Worm came forward, took the torque, weighed it. A fair gift. He handed it to Missandei, who offered silent thanks. Daenerys rose. Hair spilled down her back in silver rivers, each braid bound with rings of jet. "Tell your lord, I shall consider his words." Her gaze drifted upward, to Drogon's shadow swathing rafters. "Tell him I meet envoys politely, but I dine with dragons, and dragons value honesty. If his next words taste of lies, I promise he will eat them." Sir Adam's throat bobbed. He bowed again. "I shall carry that warning faithfully, your grace." When he withdrew, the hall breathed once more. Daenerys touched the opal torque, warm as flesh, and saw within its fiery depths cities burning, men screaming, kingdoms falling under black wings. She thought of Tyrion Lannister, clever, cynical, wounded, and of the father who sought to trade him like coin. Perhaps they deserved one another. Yet some quieter voice, her mother's, her own younger heart, whispered that alliances born of convenience might kindle gentler fires. She tamped it down. Too many fires already raged within her. Evening cloaked the Taroshi Sea in smoky blue. On the Queen's mercy, Tywin stood alone at prow, hand pressed to wound as ship pitched over churning swells. Salt sprayed his face, stung stitches. Somewhere behind those clouds lay Meereen, dragons, destiny. Yet in the crash of surf against hull, he heard footsteps. Small, quick, carrying a crossbow's weight. He turned, half expecting the stairway to show a dwarf silhouette. Only Kevin emerged, cloak flaring. "Brother," Kevin said softly. "We sail into storms and dragons, and you are wounded yet. Let me speak plain. If you fall, the realm loses its keystone." "Now." Tywin looked past him, to waves shattering white against night air. "If I fall, Kevin, then you rise. The realm will not lack reflection of its keystone." "Reflections fracture," Kevin warned. "Then forge another." Lightning cleaved cloud, illuminating Tywin's scarred face in sudden pale fire. "I built this realm on fear and gold," he said. "Now dragons rise to test its mortar. If we cannot hold, let the ruins bury us both." His words departed on wind, swallowed by thunder. Yet behind thunder another sound rose. A distant roar, deep as mountain splitting. Kevin's head jerked up. "Gods preserve us," was that. Tywin's hand closed on prow rail. "Dragons," he whispered, and his lips stretched in something almost like a smile. 5 days later, near dusk, Tyrion trudged behind a string of weary horses along a half-flooded road south of Korth. Rain soaked him to marrow, turning the world to gray oil. Yet even through misery he sensed change on the wind. And electricity, raw and tingling, that prickled scalp beneath sodden hood. Young Griff rode ahead, calling commands. Beside him, John Connington's armor glimmered tarnished bronze. They reached a rise where twisted cedar overlooked marsh. There they halted. Tyrion squinted. Far beyond reeds, the horizon flared gold and green. Clouds pulsed with inner radiance. A roar drifted across miles, low but monstrous, shaking water in puddles. Dragons in flight, he realized, and his mouth went dry. He'd heard descriptions at court, in flea-bottom brothels, in master scrolls. Yet no ink or rumor matched this living thunder. 3 dark shapes wheeled against sun's dying blaze. Even at distance, their wings rode shadows across half the sky. Connington dismounted, staring. "The Dragon Queen tests her children at dusk," he murmured. "She teaches fear." "You mislike it?" Tyrion asked. "No." Connington's eyes glinted, feverish. "I worship it." Tyrion swallowed. Somewhere across sea, his father approached these same monsters with a pen and parchment. Such a fool, that man. No, not fool. Tywin always gambled high, but this table burned its players. And Tyrion, for once, held no cards. Yet perhaps he could yet draw one. He looked upon those burning shapes and tasted on his tongue a metallic thrill. Half terror, half hope. Dragons consumed masters as readily as enemies. He turned to Connington. "Tell me, Lord Griff, when you speak to this Queen of Fire, will you mention the lion chasing her tail?" "If the lion dares," Connington answered. "Oh, he dares." Tyrion's grin felt savage under rain. "But dragons might teach even lions new arts of humility." Lightning flashed. Rain hammered harder. Tyrion raised hood again, but the tremor in his bones came not from cold. It came from the knowledge that for the first time in his life, the board sprawled wider than father's reach, and the next move belonged to fire beyond all mortal taming. On the Queen's mercy, gales tore sails to ribbons, and waves struck gunwale with fists of black stone. Yet Tywin would not leave the prow. He stared into storm, seeking flicker of red flame within clouds. And in that moment, miles away, Daenerys Targaryen stood upon Meereen's highest pyramid, with Drogon coiled behind like living shadow. She lifted Lord Tywin's letter, unbroken, to catch rain. Ink bled, gold seal softened, until words ran down her fingers black as oil. She let the parchment go. Gusty wind caught it, spiraled it away over city roofs and the poisoned fields beyond. It vanished into darkness. She turned to Drogon. The dragon's breath billowed hot across her. "We fly," she whispered, "to greet a lion." Drogon's wings unfurled, thunder born not of sky, but sinew. Below, Rhaegal and Viserion answered with screeching calls. And in the space between lightning and thunder, between wish and dread, between father and son, history shifted on unseen hinge. Tywin's ship drove onward through tempest. Tyrion pressed onward through marsh. Daenerys soared upward through storm. 3 paths burning toward the same point. And somewhere in that gathering convergence, the gods, 7 or many or none, held breath to see which head would bite first. Word count, 5035. Ka. Hey, hey. Lightning cracked like iron-splitting stone, revealing for a single white instant the full, ragged face of the gale. Wind flung sheets of salt water over the prow of Queen's Mercy, and sailors cursed as the sea snatched at lines with invisible claws. But Tywin Lannister clutched the rail, refusing the cabin Kevan begged him to take. He tasted the storm's fury, let its chill flay every illusion that gold could master nature. In the belly of such power, even a lion learned respect. A wave reared before the bowsprit, black glass etched in foam, then smashed down, drenching Tywin to the hips. Pain lanced his stitched flesh. He closed his eyes until it ebbed. When he opened them, a shape emerged through the curtains of rain. Another ship, half again Mercy's size, hull painted striped green and yellow. Its masts bowed like saplings, yet it kept pace, oars beating in frantic cadence. Kevan appeared beside him, slick hair plastered to cheeks. "Volanten slaver," he shouted above the shriek of wind. "Lost her escort in the gale." Tywin's gaze tracked the vessel's crest, 2 crossed whips beneath the tiger. "Rescue them," he said. "Rescue." Kevan blinked brine from lashes. "They fly no distress. Rescue the cargo." Tywin's voice never rose, yet the words knifed the storm. "Slaves fill her hold. If they drown, the Dragon Queen will lay the bones at my feet the moment we meet." Nem. Kevin hesitated a breath. That single flinch Tywin saw in every man forced to choose between conscience and calculus. Then he nodded, bellowed orders down the pitching deck. Mariners scrambled, cast weighted lines that vanished into dark. For one endless hour the sea played judge. Twice the slaver's hull smote the Mercy, and twice both crews feared they would tangle, heel, and founder. At last, under Tywin's unblinking watch, a chain of shivering humanity spilled across boarding planks. Giscaris, Nethi, Summer Islanders, even pale Carthene with top-knotted hair. One woman clasped a babe to her naked breast. Both were blue with cold, the child so still Tywin wondered if it yet breathed. He turned away before the question answered itself. When the decks lay slick, with 200 souls, and the slaver limped off towards safer waters, Kevin exhaled triumph. "The Queen will hear of this Mercy," he said. Tywin wiped seawater from his eyes. "Mercy?" He gestured aft, where sailors already hammered staves into crude pens. "They are pawns, on a board where dragons breathe fire. Every pawn has value. Keep them alive, warm and fed. If the Dragon Queen weighs deeds, as her name, Messas, implies, she will measure ours." Kevin opened his mouth, closed it again. "Very well," he said softly. Below, the rescued huddled beneath soaked wool blankets, their faces hollow as spent coins. Somewhere among them, Tywin thought, might hide a girl who would carry word of Lannister compassion to Daenerys faster than any raven. Influence moved quickest through those who mistrusted power least. Atop Meereen's great pyramid, dusk pooled purple in every cranny of broken harpy wings. Daenerys paced a mosaic walkway glazed with rain, Drogon matching her like a living shadow. Thunderheads loomed, yet the city below crackled with a separate lightning. Lantern flame that flickered in 1,000 new stalls selling fresh bread, charcoal sketches of dragons, and tiny gold lion charms. Merchants changed wares as quickly as gods. Yesterday they had hawked tiger whips and harpy idols. Today, lion talismans sold out before dusk. She watched, arms folded. "It begins already." Missandei's voice sighed out of the gloom. "People trade what they believe will protect them. The Lannisters bring ships, your grace." "Ships burn," Dario muttered, boots propped against a marble leogryph. "Let a dragon sneeze. Half their fleet goes to the sea's cold belly." "You speak like a sellsword who never built a kingdom," she answered without heat. "If fire solved every problem, my reign would stretch from Old Kiss to Ashai. Instead, I spend each dawn quelling riots over bread." "Victim." She paused near the parapet where hints of smoke rose from the far quarter. The new forges, where freed artisans hammered shattered harpy bronze into plowshares. "Lord Tywin's envoy returns tomorrow. I will hear his second offer." Dario's fingers drummed pommel of his eric. "Wise queens rarely grant second chances. Wise queens rarely face Lannisters," she countered. "I would see the man's full hand." Above, Drogon lowered his massive head. His crimson eyes reflected the lamps as two molten orbs. She stroked warm scales. "If Tywin comes himself, I must greet him." Missandei's eyes widened. "You would fly to the bay?" "I would meet him beyond arrow range, yes. The lion must grasp, he speaks with the dragon. Distance teaches respect." Dario rose, rain streaming off azure cloak. "Denied. Let me ride at your side." "No." She reached to brush a hand across his cheek, feeling the chill there. "You hold the city. If worst befell me." "Then there is no city," he said simply. She let silence answer. Above, Rhaegal shrieked and took wing, vast shadow crossing the moon. Viserion answered from the rookery tower, his pale wings ghostly against storm. Daenerys drew a breath deep as the sea. Tomorrow, lion and dragon would test each other's roar. Tyrion Lannister jolted awake in darkness that clung like cobwebs. River reeds rattled overhead, and a gnat buzzed near his ear. He sat up too fast, pain skittering through his bad knee. Dreams still painted shards behind his eyes. Shay's scream, the scent of father's bowels bursting. He rubbed them away. Around him the camp whispered with sleeping men. The young prince, Aegon, Griff, call him what you would. lay curled beside Connington, shield propped above to ward drizzle. A single brazier hissed, low on coals. Tyrion stood, hobbled past snoring sellswards, and found the riverbank. Mist clung to the water, thick enough to hide anything. Dagger, dragon, destiny. He skipped a stone, though pain flared in his wrist. It plopped, swallowed. The ripples were gone almost before they appeared. Such was the effect of one dwarf on a world vast and deep. Yet, word was out. Tywin Lannister lived. And not only lived, he courted the Dragon Queen herself. Tyrion spat into the river. Father always did think big. In that spit lay both hatred and awe. Tywin gambled with kingdoms while others counted coppers. And Tyrion understood better than most that daring shaped the world. Still, he harbored one hope: deny his father the prize. He traced lines in mud with a stick. Meereen loomed ahead. If he reached Daenerys first, offered her counsel, wit, perhaps a plan to take Westeros while sparing her people slime of war, might she view him more favorably than the father who would cage her dragons for coin? Or wed her to a dwarf as subtle insult? He broke the stick. Wed her to a dwarf, he muttered, namely, me. A laugh barked out, startling a heron. Fate had a cruel poet's tongue. Tywin would shackle Tyrion to a queen of fire just to bind her reign in Lannister chains. But if Tyrion spoke first, he might twist that chain back on the old lion's throat. He turned from water. Dawn glimmered pewter in the east, and smoke plumes marked a distant settlement. Younkish freeholders, perhaps. He imagined dragons above those roofs, the sky aflame. Wonder crawled up his spine like cold fingers. Dragons might burn Westeros. Dragons might burn him. Yet he still yearned to see one breathe. He limped back toward camp, mind spinning. The chessboard widened each mile he traveled, yet his father always seemed one square nearer the queen. Time to risk a greater move. He would slip away at dawn, alone, hire a skiff at the next ford, and wager his charm for passage across Slaver's Bay. A single man might outrun a fleet if he carried no cannon, no ego, only cunning. As he crawled into his bedroll again, rain began, soft as tears. Sleep returned slowly, but when it came, he dreamed of dragons forging keys for molten gold, and of a dwarf who stole one to unlock his future. The Queen's Mercy cracked her first mast 3 days out from Meereen. Tywin stood with Captain Tywin among a litter of split timbers, calculating. Repair meant rowing half speed. Rowing half speed meant arriving behind schedule. Behind schedule meant ceding initiative to rivals, Dorne's envoys perhaps, or the Baratheon pretender rumored afloat in the Stepstones. Unacceptable, Tywin ruled. We forge a new mast. Fell spar trees on Astapor's north shoals. Tywin stroked gray stubble. We'll lose a day hacking trees. Lose a day to save 3 later. A crippled mast in battle costs weeks. Or lives. Tywin turned to Kevan. Send ravens ahead. Spin the delay as courtesy. We bring extra food for Meereen's poor. Kevan's eyes glimmered admiration. A lie that serves truth. A truth that masks lie. Tywin corrected. Either way, the Queen hears a tale of generosity. Under gathering clouds, the Mercy anchored off a low spit where red sand met scrub pines. Sailors waded ashore, axes glinting. Among them trudged Saradam's surviving honor guard. Slaver corsairs had struck 2 nights past. 3 Lannister armsmen bled out before moonset. Kevan feared morale sagged. Tywin saw only tempering. Steel forged in calm, shattered at first stress. Steel beaten by hardship, flexed. From an awning on deck, he watched the axes bite trunks. Birds fled, shrieking. Across the distant haze, the brick ziggurats of Astapor slumbered under slave revolt scars. Smoke curled from a quarter-mile of ruins, unsound to land, yet haunting portrait of what Daenerys left behind. Tywin studied it. A conqueror's wake told truer story than her banners. When dusk bled over horizon, a runner splashed aboard, shouting. Kevan met him mid-gangplank, then raced to Tywin, face pale. Unsullied brother. 2 companies rode upriver. They marched this way. Tywin considered the math. 600 spears trained to Covian perfection. Daenerys tests us, he said. We saved slaves. She sends Slaver's Bane. Prepare for inspection. No banners. No drawn swords. Show them our wounded. By lantern's flicker, the rescued slaves were ushered atop deck, wrapped in Lannister red blankets. Children clutched wooden lions carved by the ship's cook to soothe them. Their brown, black, and olive faces hugged stuffed oats as if treasure. Tywin ordered a cask of peeled apples opened, juices sweet as summer for tongues numbed by brine. When the unsullied galleys drew alongside, Tywin stood at gangway in plain wool cloak, ring-bright hair soaked with drizzle. The spear captain leapt aboard, helmet spike gleaming. Eyes devoid of fear swept the deck, to apples, to injured, to messed stubs. Tywin offered no bow, only a sober nod. We bring the greetings of Queen Daenerys Stormborn, the captain intoned in the thick accent of Astapor's foundries. And I, Tywin of House Lannister, returned them. He gestured to the rescued. These souls flee bondage. Your queen forbids shackles. We carry them as we carry friendship. The unsullied captain's eyes flickered. Approval, perhaps, or suspicion tempered by doctrine. Friendship is proven in deeds, not words. Then watch our deeds. Tywin stepped aside, letting the captain stalk deck for himself. Meanwhile, Kevin distributed parchments. Manifests of food stores, timber ledgers showing intent to repair, maps marking route away from slave coasts. Every scrap, stamped with golden wax and lion. By dawn the Unsullied withdrew without incident. Tywin permitted himself a single deep breath. A small battle won. Rumor would precede him, gilded by the Unsullied's silent tongues. But the sea conceded nothing easily. 2 nights later, Leviathan waves pummeled the Mercy's starboard hull, knocking sailors like dice. A sailor pitched overboard. Tywin himself braced Kevin from tumbling after. And amid the scream of rigging, a voice in the dark cried, "Fire!" Aft, an oil lamp had shattered. Flames licked canvas, snaking toward tarred ropes. Panic surged, buckets spilled, men shouted for gods. Tywin seized a loose cloak, smothered sparks until hands blistered. Captain Tywin cursed, hacking burning cloth free with dirk. It lasted minutes, an eternity. When final embers hissed under seawater, Tywin's palms bled raw data. Kevin bound them clumsily. "You should rest." Tywin flexed fingers. Pain sang bright, a song of a living. "I will rest when the crown of Westeros needs no guardian." Kevin knew better than argue. At Moiraine's harbor, dawn painted water bronze. Ships bobbed. Some merchant cogs, others lean war dromons confiscated from Yunkai. On a cleared quay flanked by Unsullied, Daenerys sat astride silver-gray Viserion, whose wings beat slow as cathedral fans to hold him, poised half a spear's length above the stones. Each downstroke stirred dust devils. Each updraft fluttered banners, black dragon on red, red lion on gold. The new standard gifted by Sir Adam, permitted here as sign of peace, and a plain white flag sewn with 3 red tears. Bay winds teased her hair loose, salt stung her cheeks. She wore a cuirass of bleached bone inlaid with mother of pearl, a gown of sea green silk, and no crown. Dragons needed none. Below, a barge glided, oarsmen straining. A dozen Lannister guards stood rigid along gunwales. Among them she counted only 3 helms gilt, likely knights. At midship, a canopy shaded 2 figures. One stooped with age or wound, robed plain. The other broader, armored in beaten red. Sir Adam then, escorting his lord. Trumpets blared. Grey Worm barked command. As one, Unsullied snapped spears downward so their butts struck stone with thunder like a giant's single heartbeat. The sound echoed across the bay. Drogon circled high overhead, black wings a crescent moon sliding across dawn. His shadow washed over the barge. She saw the figure startle, scan sky. Good. Let the lion taste awe before words. The barge touched dock. Grapples caught. Sir Adam leapt first, cloak whipping. Then Tywin Lannister stepped onto plank. He moved with deliberate care, not frailty, but economy, like a swordsman choosing only needed strokes. His hair, bleached pale by years, gleamed silver gold. His gaze swept every spear tip without blinking. He halted 10 paces from her, head tilting upward to Viserion's suspended form. Wind from the dragon's wings tousled his cloak. He neither shielded eyes nor retreated. Instead, he lifted gloved hand and pressed fist to heart. "Your Grace," he called. "I greet the blood of the dragon." Daenerys leaned forward in saddle, voice carrying clear. "And I greet the Lion of Casterly Rock." "How many storms did you dare to stand before me?" "The worst," he replied. "Storms of sea and conscience both." She swung down, landing lightly on stone, as Viserion banked to perch behind, tail curling. Unsullied parted to form lane. She met Tywin halfway, each step soft slap against wet dock. Up close, she saw lines etched deep around his eyes. Fox-wise lines of a man who survived too much hope and still sharper despair. And the wound. Fresh scar glimmered at left flank beneath cloak's parted hem. "You bleed," she observed. "A lion may limp," he answered, "yet still hunts." She considered the rust-dark stain. "I have healers. A kick of dragonfire cleans wounds quicker than poultice and leech." He almost smiled. "Fire cleanse all things, yet I prefer to greet you with flesh not seared." She inclined head. "Then speak flesh whole. You asked union. Now ask it again." Tywin's gloved hand opened, revealing scroll bound by red twine. But instead of offering, he lifted it to flame of a brazier set along dockside. Silk twine charred, parchment curled, ashes floating. Gasps rippled behind. Dario cursed under breath. Unsullied did not stir. Tywin let ashes drift. Each word penned before seeing you proved insufficient. "I will not insult with stale script. Let us write new parchment in person." Daenerys' brows arched. A daring move. Burn his own proposal in front of half Meereen. Either folly or supreme confidence. She stepped closer, close enough to smell salt and old smoke upon him. "Then speak plain, Lord Tywin." Plain speech followed. Sharp, precise. Each sentence a forged blade. Westeros bleeding under Regent's ill fit. Cersei's misrule, the Iron Throne held by a boy king. High lords feuding like mongrels over a corpse. Famine creeping north from riverlands. Gold mines dulled. Faith militant grown arrogant. Against this decay he placed her dragons, her unsullied, her vision. "Together," he said, voice level, "we rebuild the realm, your justice, my infrastructure. Fire and gold alloyed." "And the price?" she asked. "No alliance is free." "Price?" He met her gaze. "Return peace to my grandchildren. They did not choose birth in such strife. Let Westeros know a decade without corpses rotting in field." Her breath caught. She had expected demand for crowns, offices, gemstone kingdoms. Instead he bargained not for himself, but children. Genuine? Or cunning cameo of virtue? She sought lies in his eyes, found only weary truth, smelted under grief. Yet still she asked, "And your earlier proposal, that I wed your son, does it stand?" Tywin's eyes narrowed fraction, a steel shutter half drawn. "It stands, if you will it. Tyrion is clever beyond council halls. He will kneel gladly. But I do not bind a dragon by force. Choose, and I abide. Mepintestown. Even should I refuse, I cross half-world for benefit of realm, not for pride. If other pact suits, I sign." Rain chose that moment to cease. Clouds parted, revealing a shaft of sun that painted dockboards gold. Viserion trilled, stretching wings into warmth. Seagulls cawed overhead, white specks wheeling. Daenerys heard in gull song the ghosts of Astapor. Moans of crucified masters. Smelled on salt wind the burning fields where Yunkai slavers now starved. She remembered each decision's cost. Could peace with lions spare thousands of throats? She extended hand. "Walk with me." Marine's markets smell sweeter than docks. Tywin inclined, pain flickering. He took step. She matched, escort of unsullied forming turtle around them. They left quay toward the city gate where pyramids kissed sky. Drogon swooped low, shadow cloaking them like benediction. Nearby, new freedmen knelt, whispering, "Enhisa." Others nursed suspicion. Hating Lannister read. Tywin absorbed, stares, as if they were court gossip. At bazaar fringes, spiced air mingled saffron, garlic, and dung into heady perfume. Rug weavers paused looms to gape. A butcher, colorblind by cataract, offered Daenerys a strip of dried horse. She tasted politely, then handed to Tywin. He chewed. Face unreadable. Under a silk awning she halted. "Tomorrow, we negotiate formally. Tonight you dine as my guest. We have baths." He inclined. "My healers advise rest. Then rest in marble and jasmine oil, not ship tar." She gestured to Grey Worm. "Show Lord Tywin the Queen's Guard suites." To Tywin, "Your brother stays also. Your men keep their arms in outer barracks, house rule." He nodded. "They will comply." She turned away, heart hammering. Cousin to fear, cousin to exhilaration. She felt as if she held lightning by tail. One misstep, bolts would arc. Yet ride it well. Storms might serve. As she walked back toward Pyramid, she saw the small folk part, bow, stare. And behind their awe she read something new. Calculation. They weighed dragons and lions in same scale, wondering which tooth would bite first. Tyrion reached Meereen after dusk 3 days later. Ragged, dust-caked, riding a black mule that stank like brewery dregs. He had bribed his way on a salt sloop, swapped jokes for bread, and finally slunk through siege tunnels the Unsullied left unpatched. Now he crouched in an alley off the avenue of turquoise tiles, peering at patrols. He did not recognize the banners. Red lion entwined with black dragon, stitched hastily like a child's lesson. Alarm prickled his nape. Father had not only arrived, he had already begun weaving sigils together. Voices drifted from a courtyard. Lannister guards sharing wine with unsullied laughter, broken by halting High Valyrian. The sight unsettled more than arrows could. Father's coin turned enmity to fellowship overnight, it seemed. He pulled his hood deeper and slipped into shadow. First step. Discover how deep Father's claws sank. Second. Pry them loose, preferably without losing head to the Dragon Queen or Father's huntsman. He navigated side streets etched by lamplight until a tavern sign, a winged lion hoisting a cup, caught his eye. Too perfect. He ducked inside. Heavy spices fogged the room, masking better odors. Tables brimmed with Lannister red cloaks, second sons, even Astapori freedmen. A bard plucked strings, singing of lions that lay with dragons, while wolves howled envy beyond sea. Subtlety died at door, it seemed. Tyrion slid onto a stool. The innkeep, a burly Kaskari with missing ear, eyed him but poured sour red. Tyrion sipped, wincing. Nearby a pair of red cloaks traded boasts. Saw it. Swear on the rock, one said. Dragon flew overhead, Tywin never flinched. Old lions made of stone, agreed the other. Tyrion's heart thumped. So Father played fearless before dragons. He never lacked theater. He dared a question, pitching voice gruff. The lion himself's in Meereen? "Ay," First Guard said proudly, not recognizing dwarf beneath hood. Housed in Queen's own pyramid. Talks of signing some grand pact tomorrow. Tyrion's cup paused mid-lift. "Pact?" "Marriage for the Queen, I heard." Second Guard snorted. "To Prince Aegon, reckon. Rumor says golden boys landed at Volantis, pressing claim." "Bah." First waved him off. "Tywin'll fix that. He brings a dwarf prince of his own." He drained cup. Tyrion downed his wine to hide grimace. Stories abounded, yet no certainty. All the more reason to see Queen fast. He left coin, slipped outside. Night pressed moist, warm. He headed uphill for the Great Pyramid. Looming torchlit fang spearing sky. Guard lines thickened as he neared, unsullied helmets gleaming dim bronze. No entry. He circled, recalling tunnels smugglers used during siege. At a collapsed aqueduct arch, he crept through rubble, emerging inside walled garden fragrant with night-blooming jasmine. Moonlight silvered white petals. He moved among hedges until voices murmured. Ahead, a colonnade bathed in torchlight revealed Tywin seated on cushioned bench, robe loose, Kevin and a Myrinese healer sponging salve onto stitched flank. Father's face, normally carved granite, softened in candle glow. Fatigue pooling in eye hollows, lips cracked. Tyrion froze, hidden behind cypress. He'd imagined confronting lion on dais, shields raised, but here stood mortal man bleeding, half naked, discussing dosage of dream wine. Healing well, healer said in Kiskari accent. But push too hard. Sewings will split. Tywin motioned agreement, then waved him off. When Kevin followed healer out, Tywin remained alone among chirping cicadas. Tyrion's breath rasped. He could step forth now, catch father exposed. Metaphor for lifetime. The crossbow memory flared, bolt thunk, eyes widening. He shivered. But crossbow lay leagues away, and father yet lived to bargain. Confrontation here might end in shouts, blades. Arrest before he ever glimpsed Daenerys. He retreated slow as thief, not noticing branch snag hood until it tore free. Red cloak outside colonnade snapped up, eyes widening at sight of dwarf head gleaming odd silver in moon. Halt! He barked in Westerosi. Tyrion spun, clubbed guard across helm with knotted root. Futile, clang echoing. Guard staggered but grabbed. Tyrion wriggled free, dashed along path. Alarm cries rose. He veered into hedge maze, heart pounding. Behind, boot steps and unsullied sandals hammered dirt. He ducked under vine arch, skirted fountain. Dead end. Torches bobbed. Panicked, he clambered into fountain basin. Submerged, air wheezing. Algae slick stank. Timtuha. Through ripple of water he saw spears pass overhead. Seconds stretched. Finally silence. He surfaced, gasping. A silhouette perched on fountain rim. A girl small as child, hair cropped short, eyes bright as topaz. He flinched. She put finger to lips, then extended hand. He hesitated, took it. She guided him through hedge slit into tunnel dark as grave. Phosphor moss glowed faint. After winding yards they emerged beneath granary. Only then she spoke. Little lion smells a pond. Voice lilting, slaver's bay vowels. Little lion thanks the sparrow, he replied, coughing. Who might you be? Name is eerie once. Now mouse. I clean queen's chambers. Hear red men talk. She squinted. You? Same lion like old one, but small? Smaller, cleverer, drunker. He offered flourished bow soaking water. I seek audience with queen. Many seek. Few find. She tugged sleeve. But mouse can show secret stairs. For price. Price. Dragons eat many goats. Mouse's family goat herd. Goats cost silver. Tyrion laughed. Of course. Let us purchase a herd. Mouse's grin flashed. She led him deeper. Daenerys reclined on cushioned divan in private solar, scented with freesia oil. Scrolls littered ebony table. Tywin's revised proposals, maps of Westerosi granaries requiring overhaul, lists of hostages exchanged. Each line felt heavier than chain. Nisande poured honeyed wine. Dario lounged nearby sharpening blade, eyes never settling. I distrust lions, he murmured, testing edge. One moment they court you, next they devour. She traced Tywin's signature. Bold strokes, each curve decisive. He offers roads, harbors, coin, alliances with half Westeros. My people starve for lack of trade. Them seawine. Yet his offers cost you dragons. Not by his script. Scripts lie. She sighed, set scroll down, stood. We born in storm must sometimes moor in safe harbor. Dario's jaw clenched. He looked away. A harbor may be prison if gates close behind. She touched his shoulder. Speak plain. He sheathed blade with deliberate snap. Read the dwarf, he becomes king. Father pulls puppet strings. One day you wake dethroned. Tyrion Lannister killed his father, she reminded. Strings cut. Yet father lives. Dario's hand tightened on hilt. If rumor speaks truth. She paced to balcony. Moon waxed half, casting courtyard statues in ivory gloom. Tomorrow's council will decide, but I need clear head. She inhaled night. Summon Grey Worm. Double watch. Too many strangers prowl these halls. Dario bowed. Inside those blue eyes burned jealousy or caution. Perhaps twin shades of same fear. As he left, a sudden shriek split air. Unsullied horn. She spun. Torches flickered along lower terraces. Steel clanged. No? She cursed, snatched whip, strode down marble steps barefoot. Servants scattered. At archway she met Grey Worm running. Intruder, he reported. Small man. Evaded. Her mind leapt. Dwarf. Could be Tyrion. Or assassin. Drogon's roar thundered overhead. Shadows leapt frantic. She raced after Grey Worm through labyrinthine halls, adrenaline scalding veins. At Granary Courtyard, unsullied fanned search grid. She halted, senses pricking. A grate scraped across yard. Grey Worm signaled. Unsullied surrounded opening. No sound inside. She advanced. Open! They lifted grate, stale air wafted. She peered into darkness, saw nothing but moss, faintly glowing, and sudden voice echoing eerily. Queen of Dragons, might a weary traveler beg wine before judgment? Grey Worm raised spear. Daenerys gestured hold. Shadows shifted. A dwarf climbed rung, mud-streaked and dripping. His mismatched eyes, black and green, sparkled wryly. Tyrion Lannister bowed low. Apologies for late arrival. Traffic dreadful. Silence hung taut. Soldiers bristled. She folded arms. They said you murdered your father. Rumor seldom spares nuance. He paused, gaze flicking to wound upon her bare foot. Slight cut from hurried dash. Nor hardship. May I approach? Vemtrin. She nodded warily. He limped forward until torchlight revealed fully. I did kill him, he said softly. But patricide wins no crowns. I come seeking cause larger than vengeance. Her jaw tightened. Your father lies in my guest suite. Alive. Tyrion's brows rose. That, he said, complicates my confession. Grey Worm half smiled at that. Daenerys kept face stern. Why should I spare you? Because my mind weighs 10 knights. I have 10,000. But none who grew in Lion's Den. He met her eyes, unflinching. Your realm soon includes Westeros. You'll need map of every trap inside the keep. I offer it. No. Why betray your blood? Tyrion inhaled, glanced toward sky where Drogon's silhouette traced constellations. Because I would rather serve a dragon who frees the chained than a lion who chains the free. The words rang true enough that silence followed, broken only by crackle of torch. She studied him long. Clever, broken, fearless. A puzzle piece. One that might fit or cut. Finally, she spoke. You will dine with me and my counselors. Speak your counsel. If it proves valuable, you may live to give more. He bowed, lips curving. My thanks, your grace. Then, in undertone only she heard. And may the gods forgive fools who love fathers more than justice. She felt jolt, compassion perhaps. She turned curtly. Grey Worm, cleanse him, find fresh clothes. As they left, Drogon alighted on Pyramid's shoulder, red eyes watching dwarf depart. Daenerys sensed shift in tapestry, threads tangling beyond design. Tomorrow, father and son would share table, each wielding different knives, and she the board between. Morning council convened in audience hall, where mosaic floor depicted first Valyrian conquest. Dragons encircling lion with tail aflame. Beneath that lion now stood Tywin, cane in hand. Across circle, Tyrion lounged on low stool, hair still damp from bath, clad in simple black. Between them Daenerys sat throne of teak, Dario to left, Grey Worm right, Missandei before steps. Sun shafts gleamed through slit windows. Dust motes danced like tiny spirits. She struck staff to begin. "Lord Tywin, you propose alliance." "You," nodding to Tyrion. "Oppose?" Tyrion smiled. "I propose improvement." Tywin's nostrils flared. "My son's improvements often bleed." "Better bled by words than arrows," Tyrion retorted. She raised palm. Both fell silent. "First," she said, "the marriage question. I will not decide kingdom's fate on bedchamber politics alone." She turned to Missandei, who unrolled charter. "I propose provisional treaty. Lannister fleet supplies grain, wood, and master shipwrights to Meereen. In exchange, dragons guarantee escort of caravans through disputed waters. Term: 6 moons. After, we review. Marriage debated only once treaty proves fruitful." "Now." Tywin bowed slightly. "Reasonable." A ripple widened Tyrion's grin. "Second," she continued, "Westerosi governance. Should I cross sea, I require hand who knows King's Landing. Lord Tywin names Jaime or Kevin. Some lords name Jon Arryn's kin. My freedmen name Grey Worm." She studied both Lannisters. "I will judge by merit. You will each tonight present counsel on pacifying faith militant without bloodshed." Tywin's lips thinned. "The faith knows only strength." Tyrion raised finger. "Or patronage. One buys piety cheaper than swords." "Merde racial." Tywin glanced skyward, as if praying for patience. "The one who offers better plans," she promised, "earns seat at my hand." Dario shifted, scowling. Grey Worm's face remained calm. "Third." Daenerys' voice cooled. "Truth. My court abhors secrets. Therefore father and son will recount. Here, now, events of King's Landing when Mad King fell, and each shall swear on Dragonflame to hold no lies." Shock widened both pairs of Lannister eyes. Tyrion recovered first. "A long tale, better served with casks of wine." "Then we drink," she said simply. "But speak." Tywin's wounded side ached. He gripped cane. "Very well. Truth, however unpleasant, beats decisions." Thus began recounting. Sack of King's Landing, wildfire caches, Jaime's betrayal, Tywin's order to open gates, the mountain's atrocities. Tyrion interjected with perspectives gleaned from brothel whispers, highlighting father's calculus of terror. Voices rose, cracked, fell. At times Daenerys' knuckles whitened on armrest. At times Missandei's eyes shimmered tears. Unsullied remained statues. When tale ended, afternoon sun speared dust like spears of judgment. Daenerys spoke into hush. 7 kingdoms bathe in rivers of old blood. If I add fresh, I fail. She regarded Tywin. You wage war with gold, wage peace with same. Fund reconstruction of war-born orphanages across Meereen and Astapor. She turned to Tyrion. You shall audit the funds. Both nodded. Grudging trio. She rose. Council adjourned. Tomorrow we hunt slavers who circumvent my edicts. Both of you ride at my side. See firsthand what chains cost. As she descended dais, Tywin and Tyrion faced each other, inches apart. For heartbeat neither spoke. Then father murmured, I should have drowned you at birth. Tyrion bowed ironically. A pity you lacked foresight. Now you drown in dragons. Tywin's cane thumped floor as he pivoted away. Tyrion watched, eyes gleaming not with hatred now, but something more dangerous. Ambition mingled with freedom. 2 dawns later, joint caravan rode out. Daenerys on Drogon overhead. Tywin atop white courser clad in unstained half-plate, Tyrion astride shaggy mule beneath black cloak. They crossed patchwork of fields where slaves now tilled their own plots. Past corpse-strewn gullies left by skirmish with Yunkish diehards the month prior. At ruined villa, overlooking salt pans, scouts flagged slaver convoy. 6 wagons, 30 guards, collars stacked in crates. Daenerys signaled halt. Tywin studied formation. A strike from ridge, cut horses, seize wagons intact. Tyrion squinted. Better entice surrender. Send out rider with promise of pardon for men who lay down arms. Slavers fear dragons, but crave profit. Offer them wages on Queen's fleet. Tywin scoffed. Mercy breeds future revolt. Tyrion shrugged. Mercy breeds loyalty, priced cheaper than burial pits. Daenerys weighed. We try words first. If they fail, fire. Tywin withheld comment, but his jaw tightened. Grey Worm rode to parley on dusty Palomino. Minutes passed. From ridge they watched slavers gesture, debate. Finally chains rattled to earth. Swords dropped. Freed captives emerged, blinking sun-blind. Tywin's surprise flickered. Tyrion's smug grin answered. They escorted slavers in shackles to rear column. Freedmen rode wagons back to Marine singing songs of the Silver Queen and the Lion's checkbook. Tyrion's phrase, and Tywin could not deny results. That night near campfire Tywin spoke quietly to Son. You exploited their greed. Tyrion sipped wine. I learned from Elder Master. Tywin exhaled. Queen favors cunning. She may choose you for hand. Tyrion raised brow. Would that displease you? Tywin poked fire with stick. If it spares kingdom war, perhaps not. But know this. I will die before I let Westeros fall to chaos. Now Tyrion's gaze softened odd flicker. I never hated you for wanting order. Only your methods. Killing me won. Tywin smirked bitter. Tyrion spread hands. I attempted to kill stone idol that replaced father. Silence circled them. Owls hooted distant. Finally, Tywin said, then perhaps Dragonfire will forge new idols for us all. They shared wine keg in uneasy truce, the gulf between them lit by sparks, drifting skyward like souls of burned cities. In Meereen, Varys emerged from shadow of a marble colossus, robes fluttering to die. He had followed at polite remove since barge landing. Spiders whispering secrets, Dornish envoys at Yunkai, Ironborn raiders amassing near Lys. An army of Sellswords calling themselves Golden Company, pledging to a boy king of Blackfire blood, or so rumor said. He leaked pieces to both Daenerys and Tywin, each believing information gift. This night he saw Daenerys alone. She received him in candle chamber hung with Myrish lace. Drogon dozed on terrace, wing stirring breeze that set lace dancing. Your Grace, Varys began, news from Westeros. The faith militant has crowned its own high king of holiness. Flocks arm in tens of thousands. Neberapha. She frowned. Tywin claimed he could bridle them. His gold buys swords, not belief. Varys shifted weight. Yet there may be path. A marriage alliance with House Tyrell. Queen Margaery commands hearts of many faithful. Daenerys' lips thinned. Another bed politics. An easier path than fire. She paced to balcony rail, stared into moat of night. If every solution thrust me into marriage, I become peace, not player. Varys bowed. Pieces shape boards when wielded wisely. A queen shapes boards without leash. She turned, eyes blazing. Tell Tyrells. I ride soon. They will treat with dragon, not bride. Varys inclined deep. As you wish, Your Grace. He slipped away, serene smile hiding satisfaction. Chaos bred opportunity. Days bled to weeks. Treaty drafts circled like gulls. Tywin oversaw erection of grain silos near docks, employing freed masons at thrice previous wages, winning hearts. Tyrion restructured taxation on harbor tariffs, channeling revenue into bread subsidies. Merchants grumbled but trade soared. Daenerys flew each dawn across hinterlands, dragons scorching plague locust nests, sowing respect. Yet tension rippled. Tywin pressed for royal marriage sooner. Tyrion counseled delay until banners rallied. Daenerys weighed, found herself torn between iron assurance and silvered wit. Nights she lay awake under carved beams, feeling both men tug at future like players moving her across board. Then one sweltering noon, a raven arrived from Volantis, bearing parchment sealed black. Missandei broke wax, eyes widening as she read. Alliance of Golden Company with Prince Aegon Targaryen confirmed. 50,000 cross narrow sea. Their first target, Storm's End. Narnamdimni. Council convened in gasping heat. Tywin slammed fist on table. Boy claims name, Targaryen. Your nephew, perhaps. He will rouse half realm. Daenerys' jaw set. Aegon died on Dragonskull steps. This pretender plays mummer's farce, yet farce with 50,000 may rewrite script. Tyrion paced. Golden Company famed for loyalty to Blackfire pretenders. They tire of exile. Time their sellsword coin minted in Westeros blood. Tywin's eyes bored into his. Your friend Lord Connington commands them, does he not? Tyrion stiffened. Old acquaintance, yes. Tywin's gaze sharpened. You withheld this. I withheld nothing. I predicted Golden Company would move. See minutes, page 3. He tapped scroll. Daenerys silenced both by rising. We sail within fortnight. All dragons, all unsullied. Tywin, secure grain fleet to feed troops. Tyrion, draft war council composition. Dario, ready second sons. Grey Worm beat fist to breast. Tyrion exhaled, exhilaration mixing dread. Tywin's eyes smoldered approval. Decisive queen at last. As council dispersed, Daenerys lingered with Tyrion upon balcony, overlooking crowded harbor of galleys, wearing twin sigils. Your father serves realm, but you see hearts. Which crusade wins better, lions or dragons? Tyrion followed gaze to sea's dark horizon. Lion's economy may stabilize realm. Dragon's fire may unite it, but hearts follow stories. He looked at her. You, my queen, must craft story where lion bows, because dragon lifts, not because dragon threatens. She considered. And you craft stories with words. And wine, he added, smiling. I shall brew vintage even father might swallow. Lightning flickered far north over bay, though sky cloudless. She shivered. Tomorrow war horns would blow. But tonight, between lion's roar and dragon's cry, she allowed hope to breathe. On Queen's Mercy's repaired deck, Kevin found Tywin at dusk, staring toward Westeros' invisible shore. Gold bandage wrapped side, yet shoulders straight as marble. Brother, Kevin asked softly, do we follow dragon or lead it? Tywin's answer drifted like salt fog. We ride its shadow, guide its flame. Better to steer wildfire than drown in it. He touched pommel of sword, gilded lion roaring. In Dragon's Age, only fools cling to old crowns. We craft new. Kevin nodded, though doubt furrowed brow. And your son? A dagger, Tywin said. Sharp, unpredictable, but deadly to enemy if aimed true. He turned, moon lighting his face with ghost pallor. I once forged kingdom on fear. Maybe now I forge it on fire and word. A breeze stirred sails smelling of cinnamon from Marini's warehouses. Tywin inhaled, tasting new world on wind. And in that breath, he felt stir of something long thought dead. Anticipation not of conquest but of transformation. The West would burn, perhaps, yet from ashes might arise order stronger than any gold. He allowed himself the barest smile, one none but night would see, as stars manifested one by one above waves, constellations shifting, like the story of a world rewriting itself under dragonfire and lion blood alike. Word count, 5,278. Ka. Rain drummed the saffron-colored awnings of Meereen like a relentless army, turning the palace courtyards into shallow lakes that mirrored the distant obelisks of the Harpies' long-fallen glory. Tywin Lannister walked their edges with the slow, deliberate precision of a man for whom every step must be justified, every footprint calculated. His wound throbbed under fresh bandages, but he ignored the pain. Pain had been an old companion since Castamir's ashes cooled. Beside him padded an unsullied honor guard, shield held aloft to keep the downpour from the lion's silver mane. Their bronze-scaled armor gleamed darkly, like dragon hide hammered flat. Ahead, Tyrion leaned against a column where purple bougainvillea climbed in riotous abandon. Rain sluiced down his face, plastering curls to his brow. You should be inside, father, he called. The physician warned damp air invites infection. Tywin's mouth bent in something like amusement. Rain seldom kills Lannisters, Tyrion. Poor judgment does. Nirafanin. And physicians claim you possess too little flesh to spare further drainage, Tyrion countered. Tywin granted that with a lift of brow, then drew to a halt at the parapet. From here, the harbor unfolded, a dense forest of masts, half dragon proud, half lion bannered. The joint fleet was nearly ready. 50 Marines galley refits, 15 Lannister cogs, and 22 captured Volantine warships rechristened with new names suitable for a Dragon Queen's armada. Below, teams of freedmen hauled barrels of dried saltfish, flour, and Taroshi oranges up gangplanks. Quartermasters and unsullied officers shouted in competing tongues, Kiscarian, High Valyrian, Westerosi. Yet somehow, the cargo flowed where it must. Order coaxed from chaos at whip-crack pace. Tywin's hallmark, now intertwined with Daenerys. "I trust the flour is kept dry," Tywin asked without turning. Tyrion nodded. "Stowed in the forward holds, cushioned with sawdust bales. The queen insists no mouth go hungry on voyage. Mouths chew through grain faster than swords chew through men," Tywin mused. "Hunger births mutiny." His gaze shifted to the pyramid's rooftop where 3 dragons roosted. Drogon, mawed wide in lazy yawn, Rhaegal, spined neck weaving to follow gulls, and Viserion, ivory wings folded like parchment. Yet dragons smother mutiny before it sparks. Tyrion joined him at the parapet. Dragons inspire as well. Some freedmen volunteers wept at first sight, claimed it proof the gods favored their suffering. "Perhaps," Tywin allowed. "Faith is blunt as a mace, and we will need every weapon." Silence lingered, punctuated only by the patter of rain on stone and distant gull cries. Tywin inhaled the mingled scents of wet jasmine and ship tar. "Have you met with Lord Varys?" "This morning, before dawn." Tyrion sighed. "Another raven from King's Landing. The faith militant executes moneylenders. It claims served sin." Cersei barricades herself in Maegor's holdfast with Qyburn's half-dead knights for company. And Tommen grows paler by the day, they say. Tywin's jaw tightened. "If Sparrow unseats the crown before we arrive, we fight on fractured ground. Her grace must learn swiftness outranks perfection." Cool voice interjected behind them, lilting with Viscari cadence. "Her grace is already upon the field." They turned as Missandei bowed. The queen summons counsel to the Hall of Schemes. Storms gather in the bay. She would depart ahead of them. Tyrion flicked water from his beard. "Schemes indeed. Lead on." They found Daenerys within the pyramid's heart, a vaulted chamber, where brass braziers cast dragon-shaped shadows across a mosaic of old Valyria. On the floor's central circle, a chalk outline charted their invasion, ship icons, cavalry tokens carved into marble, and miniature dragon figurines whose alabaster bodies bore gilt accents on wing joints. On the perimeter stood the council. Dario Naharis, resplendent in azure Arcosian silk, Grey Worm in matte bronze, Varys burbling in dove gray, and Archmaster Marwyn of the Greasy Beard, newly arrived from Old Town at Tyrion's secret urging. His chain of heavy links rattled each time he breathed. Daenerys herself wore a jerkin of black, quilted leather sewn with diamonds of red stitching, a nod perhaps to her newfound Lannister partners. No crown encircled her silver-gold tresses. Instead, a thin ribbon of red silk wound thrice about her brow, trailing down the back in a splash of color, the only soft line upon a figure otherwise cut of sword-steel resolve. She turned to Tywin the moment he entered. "Word from the Stepstones, Lord Tywin. The Golden Company sails tonight, black sails among their gold. By the morrow, their outriders may touch the Stormlands. We leave within 2 days if we mean to contest their landing before it hardens." "Warm?" Tywin nodded, as if this matched his internal arithmetic. 2 days we can manage. My shipwrights swear new masts shipped from Astapor are bolted tight." Tyrion stepped into the ring. "Connington will choose Storm's End as first prize. The castle is both symbol and granary. Once he claims it, he'll rake the Stormlands for harvests to feed the host." He tapped a carved token shaped like a crowned stag and slid it atop the castle's mark. "If Aegon plants his banner here, riverlords disenchanted with the crown might flock. We must deny him swift legitimacy." Dario stroked the hilt of his arak. "We can set Drogon upon their camps at dusk, Without elephants, their famed discipline cracks. Tywin's reply cut the air. Too blunt. Dragons scorch acreage we need for forage. We defeat Golden Company not merely by burning tents but by rending its purse. Their sellswords live first for pay. Break the pay chest. The elephants will stampede home. Marwyn leaned on his staff, eyeing Tywin. And how, Lord Lion, do you propose to shatter a pay chest guarded by 10,000? Tywin reached into his cloak, produced a slender lead-sealed flask. Inside, emerald shadows stirred. Wildfire. 10 casks stowed behind false walls in the answer holds of Queen's Mercy. Enough to ignite half a harbor. Daenerys' eyes flashed. I forbid wildfire near my dragons. One stray ember and Drogon's wings twist in green corrosion. Tywin inclined. Then the wildfire shall never near your dragons, your grace. It detonates beneath the Golden Company's waterborne coffers near Weeping Town. Ships burn, wages vanish. Fighters desert. Connington faces storms end with promise alone. Tywin. Varys folded hands. A bold gambit. But only if we reach Weeping Town before Connington slips anchor at Storm's End. Our fleet must overtake his. Tyrion drummed finger on the map. We can. Their line of advance is predictable. Golden Company charters slow transports for elephants. Our hulls are lighter and our routes faster if we dare the basilisk deeps. Dario arched brow. Filled with corsairs. Corsairs paid by Korth. Tyrion retorted. Karth owes the queen. Zaragoza Daxos wrote promising safe passage. Corsairs will stay claws in. Marwyn chuckled, beard quivering. The Dragon Queen wagers on loyalty of Carthene merchants? The world grows strange. Grey Worm stepped forward, voice quiet yet carrying. Unsullied already. We guard dragons, fleet, and queen. He set his token, an onyx-bodied spear, beside the queen's figurine. Tyrion glanced at Daenerys, reading something unspoken as she gazed upon the board. In her violet eyes lingered the glint of storm-fired steel and the faint tremor of possibility. She spoke at last. We leave at dawn on the third day, she declared. Dario scouts ahead with 6 of the Second Son's swiftest caravels. Grey Worm and half the Unsullied embark on the Lannister transports, under Lord Tywin's chosen captains. The dragons and I will overfly the fleet, striking only to protect, never to provoke. She let that settle, pinning each of them. The wildfire plan proceeds, but if I sense risk to dragons, I resigned permission. Tywin accepted this with a curt bow. Of course, your grace. Daenerys' gaze slid to Tyrion. You and Lord Varys devise rumor mills in Westeros. Whispers of a lion-dragon accord in relief for the starving small folk. When we land, bread must precede banners. Nendmol. Denapter. Tyrion saluted with 2 fingers to brow. We will spin sweeter yarns than any septon's pulpit. With decisions cast, council dissolved. Yet as Tywin turned to depart, Daenerys' voice halted him. Lord Tywin remain. The others filed out, even Grey Worm, though his look lingered. When chamber doors sighed shut, only the crackle of braziers and the soft scratch of rain beyond stained glass remained. Daenerys descended 2 steps of the dais, stopping just shy of his reach. You push yourself too hard, she said, soft but unyielding. If your flesh tears open mid-voyage, I lose my most experienced general. Tywin dipped his head. My flesh will hold, your grace. I have suffered worse. Perhaps. Yet I offer more than stitches. She produced a small carved ivory jar, unscrewed its lid, revealing crimson salve flecked with iridescent shards. Marwyn brought this from Ashai, essence of fire lilies steeped in shadow worm oil. It knits torn sinew within days. Tywin accepted the jar, weight seeming heavier than stone. Kindness from a dragon, an unexpected currency. I am honored. She stepped back. Honor is survival, Lord Tywin. I intend we both claim it. When Tywin left, jar cupped in steady hands, he did not notice Tyrion watching from alcove. The dwarf's gaze traced father's retreating figure, measuring distance between old grudges and new alliances. 2 days spun like turning wheels. Galleys loaded, sailors tested rigging, unsullied drilled spearwork across pyramid courtyards. On the final evening, Meereen's markets swelled with impromptu festivals. Fire dancers, lute players strumming Rhoynish ballads, children painting their faces half gold, half black. Merchants hawked dragon bread, flat loaves scored with claws, while artisans sold wooden lion figurines gilded by candlelight. A city once cleaved by slave chains now basked in rare synergy. War loomed, but hope shimmered. Tyrion spent that evening in the night market's back rooms, disguised in hood and plain sailor garb, attending a clandestine parley. Across the table sat a Weatherford Lysine captain, Timera Vihul, her left eye cloudy from old blade work. 2 casks of stormfire, Tyrion said, sliding a velvet pouch. Gold coins clinked. For your Galeas Raven's mercy to shadow the Golden Company convoy. When our signal fires, you harry their supply sloops, driving them toward Weeping Town Harbor. Understood? Vulu bit a coin, nodded. Sharks in narrow water, eh? I like teeth on silver. Tyrion's mouth twitched. Then sharpen them. But remember, no collateral slaughter of small folk. That part will be handled by my father's wildfire. Daenerys. He dismissed her, then leaned back, swirling arbor red. The plan danced precarious upon knife point. Should wildfire stray, Daenerys might incinerate more than alliances. Should it falter, Golden Company might plant its sellsword banners across the reach before a single dragon's roar. Yet the gambler in him thrilled. When he emerged into night, rain had ceased. Stars dusted black sky. Rhaegal glided overhead, scales ember-lit by city lanterns, as if the universe's own exclamation. Tyrion watched, whispered, "Fly straight, green beast. The world reshapes on the wind beneath your wings." Then returning to Pyramid, he nearly collided with Jon Connington. The man's face half-masked in hood, but recognition flared in his eyes. Red-rimmed, fevered. "Halfman," Connington hissed. "You plot with dragons while your friend marches for justice." Tyrion's hand drifted to dagger but hesitated, as did Connington's to his sword. 2 ghosts upon Meereen's marble. Sea breeze whistling through archways. "I plot for realm," Tyrion said. "And you march blind behind a ghost in boy's clothing." Connington's jaw clenched. "He is Rhaegar's son. I saw midwives deliver him." "So? Then why hide him 2 decades? Tyrion countered. "You raise him as legend, not man. Legends break easier than bones." Connington's reply was a cold smile. "When you feel Storm's End's walls tremble, remember this night. I offered you place beside true air and you spat." He stepped backward into shadow and was gone. Tyrion exhaled, palms damp. Fate's threads tugged. He hurried to inform council, but by dawn ships weighed anchor. Time for spymaster warnings had ended. Time for deeds began. The armada slid from Meereen's harbor like a colossal serpent. Scales of canvas, glinting dawn rose. On flagship Dragon's Grace, Daenerys stood upon the quarterdeck wearing gray cloak clasped by lion-headed fibula. Drogon soared overhead, casting shade cool as mountain night despite desert heat. Rhaegal and Viserion flanked at distance, wing beats drumming a war anthem. To starboard sailed Queen's Mercy under Tywin's command. Red banners snapped, yet on mainmast flew Daenerys's 3-headed dragon, an unprecedented union of sigils. Kevin marshaled Lannister archers along foredeck, while unsullied shield wall lined rails amidships. Tyrion occupied the stern castle of Ravenous, a swift Volantine trireme outfitted as messenger and rumor monger. Varys rode with him, parchment birds lofted hourly, telling of seas ahead. At midday, cormorants spiraled starboard, sign of deep shoals. By dusk, spinner dolphins escorted hulls, gliding beneath waterline like living runes of fortune. On third dawn, as fleet carved green ridges off the island of Anaith, black sails sprouted along horizon. Corsairs of the Basilisk Isles. Dario's vanguard had sought to hold them at bay, but greed overcame promises. Warhorns moaned, arrows arced like side prayers. Gray worms signaled dragon call. Daenerys' raised horn carved from pale wyvern bone sounded thrumming note. Drogon answered with thunder roar swooping low. His flame strafed a corsair galley amidships. The ship burst in orange bloom. Survivors flung themselves into churning sea. Rhaegal's green-gold firins showered second hull. Men dove screaming, flesh charred before water quenched. Tywin watched impassive. Effective, he murmured to Kevin, but wasteful of potential salvage. He signaled Lannister ballistae. Bolts lanced third corsair, impaling mast. Boarding grapnels flew. Red cloaks stormed across, capturing vessel intact, her hold laden with spice and Myrish lace, booty to fund further war. By sundown, corsair threat ended. Fleet counted minor casualties. Dragons ate 3 charred corpses drifting starboard. Rumor of dragon wrath would race ahead faster than wind, Tyrion noted. Perfect. Nights grew cooler as they angled northwest. In cabin lit by lantern fumes, Daenerys convened small council once more, this time with sea charts scattered around a salted barrel doubling as table. Spray drummed porthole glass, the cabin swayed. "We reach Weeping Town in 29 hours, Varys reported, adjusting hourglass. Golden Company convoy charts slower lane. Our outriders spotted them hugging coast of Tarth. Tywin traced vector with finger. Good. We drop wildfire mines along channel at last light tomorrow, timed with crosswind to shove burning wrecks into harbor mouth. Meanwhile, Grey Worm deploys marines disguised as fishermen to capture Pachist sloop once chaos erupts. It boards through surface breach at waterline, diagram here." He flicked parchment. Daenerys glimpsed swirling arrows, precise as surgeon marks. Tyrion added, "Captain Vuel's pirate gilles will harry stragglers, driving them right into our net." Daenerys studied them both. "A dance of knives so intricate one misstep slits our own throats." "Yes," Tywin agreed. "That is why masters choreograph, not amateurs." Tyrion raised cup in mock toast. To choreography. Night passed in restless watch. On the silent deck of Ravenous, Tyrion found Davos Seaworth leaning on rail. The smuggler had arrived by skiff 2 nights earlier, bearing letters from Wyman Manderley promising provisional Stark support. Davos now served as clandestine envoy from northern lords, uneasy with both Sparrow and Golden Company. "Never thought I'd see dragons on my left and lions on my right," Davos muttered. Tyrion sipped watered rum. "Nor I. I suspect the gods play Sivas with pieces they've not yet named." "Aye." Davos scratched beard. "But the one moves matter is hunger. Half the North starves. Can your queen feed them?" "She intends to." Tyrion gazed across water where luminous plankton painted streaks of ghost green. "But war consumes granaries faster than locusts." "Then, sell me hope," Davos insisted quietly, before northern spears sighed with a ghost prince riding golden elephants. Tyrion answered not, only watched the sea swallow starlight again and again. Dawn of the assault broke under low clouds. Fleet anchored miles south, out of sight behind headland's serrated crest. From Dragon's Grace's poop deck, Daenerys observed the final preparations. Wildfire casks, disguised beneath tar-padded barrels, were secured aboard Ravenous and 2 Lannister longboats. Captain Toyne piloted Queen's Mercy to feign weather-beaten merchantmen. Onshore, Grey Worm's infiltration party disguised themselves as crabbers, netting pots with hooks that concealed grappling spikes. Tywin supervised everything from portable commandeus, a crate draped in red cloth, while leaning on cane. One hand, swathed in bandage of fire lily salva, gripped a bullhorn. At midday, storms brewed. Perfect cover. The plan, set in motion. Darius caravels dashed ahead with black sails reefed to ribbons, resembling accident victims. They would draw harbor patrol from Pachest's sloop. Once patrollers gave chase, wildfire boats snuck into channel. Ravenous hugged cliff shadow. Tyrion paced stern, counting heartbeats. Rain arrived as fine mist, then sheet. Sea darkened. Signal flags rippled, 2 white stripes, patrol lured. Tywin's longboat, Lion's Paw, lurched into channel with casks. Tyrion followed in Ravenous, Vuel's galeas behind. Grey Worm's crabbers rowed silently toward pier where Paechest vessel Golden Wind bobbed. Through spyglass, Tyrion glimpsed gilded prow snarling. Weather-hammered decks. Sellsword guards huddled under awnings, cloaks sodden. He inhaled, lifted hourglass, slipped copper pin. 5-minute sand tumble. Wildfire fuse coiled in barrel hash 3 waited for that timeline. Lion's paw drifted broadside to Golden Wind, feigning torn sail. Shouts in Iscari-accented Westerosi. Help, rigging line. A rope arced, Sellsword caught. Below deck, fuse hissed. Grey Worm's men scaled Golden Wind's far side. Spear blades jabbed throats before alarm. In a blink, quarterdeck belonged to Unsullied. Slaver captain gurgled under spear point. Paechest, 3 iron-banded trunks, was theirs. On water, cask hash 3 flared intolerable green. Wildfire engulfed Lion's paws stern. Sailors dove. Flames licked sky. Whipped by wind, emerald snakes slithered across surface. The burning hulk drifted, colliding with a Golden Company supply barge just returning from shore. Explosion thundered, mast shattered. Burning debris rained. Harbor erupted in chaos. Banners vanished in smoke. Ravenous slewed starboard. Tyrion ordered grapples free, pulling his crew clear as green tongues raced across water. Vule's galaes emerged, mangonel launching firepots onto pier storehouses stacked with feed and tar. Conflagration blossomed. Drogon shrieked overhead. Daenerys, cloaked in onyx armor, dived through cloud to survey. His black wings churned smoke. His roar dwarfed blasts. She spotted Paechest trunks hoisted to Unsullied crabber, signaled with fire-coated torch. Grey Worm flashed reply, mission secure. Tywin, on forecastle of Dragon's Grace, watched through smokescope. The plan unfolded near flawlessly. Risk of dragon harm minimal. Yet, as wildfire lapped boathouse, stray ember spat toward Rhaegal, who circled low to corral panic transports. Dragon banked, flame trailing wingtip. Tywin's breath stuck. If scales ignited, Daenerys' trust would burn. But Rhaegal shook ember like raindrop. Wildfire hissed impotent off his hide. Relief sagged Tywin's shoulders. When final cask detonated, harbor entrance collapsed under burning wrecks forming floating barrier. Golden Company transports trapped outside or within scourged basin. Either way, Paechest ash, discipline fractured. By sunset, Weeping Town docks were charred skeletons. Golden Company survivors fled inland, pursued by Second Son's cavalry. Paechest trunks made safe on Dragon's Grace. Daenerys convened triage, ordering healers to treat enemy wounded. Gesture echoing earlier slave rescue. On quarterdeck, Connington stood bound. Captured after duel with Dario near burning stable. Rain slicked his graying red hair to scalp. Fever glimmer returned to eyes. Daenerys approached. Lord John Connington, last White Griffin, you led Sellswords against rightful queen. Why? Connington's voice rasped. I serve Rhaegar's son. Tywin appeared, flanked by 2 red cloak guards. You serve a fantasy conjured to rally Sellswords. He unfurled torn banners seized from Golden Wind. On black field, 3-headed dragon of red. Except reversed, 1 head crowned with sapphire, sign of Blackfire lineage. The company sells thrones to highest bidder. Today the price unpaid. Connington spat blood. Aegon's cause will outlive one setback. Daenerys studied the man, compassion flickering. Perhaps, or perhaps you can serve Westeros by ending needless war. Swear fealty, I spare you. Connington's laugh rattled. I swore once to a crown and lost it to oathbreakers. I'll not bend again. His glare lashed Tyrion behind her. Halfman consorts with demons. Tyrion saluted. Demons have warmer breath. Daenerys sighed and signaled guards. Take him below. 7 days to reconsider. They hauled him away. Rain eased. Clouds broke to reveal sliver of moon. Tywin turned to Daenerys. A dragon's mercy may breed treachery. So may a lion's cruelty, she retorted. He inclined, neither offended nor appeased. Our objective stands accomplished. Next target Storm's End. She nodded. Dragons will clear ramparts. Your siege engineers will spare walls. Tyrion arrived then with Varys, each bearing scrolls soaked with wax. Ravens to the north, to River Run, to Old Town. Tyrion declared. Word of your victory. And of Pachist burnt to feed starving children, Taunton. Daenerys allowed a ghost of smile. Let songs rise before swords. Night deepened. Fleet anchored, patch crews doused lingering embers. On forecastles and in cramped hammocks, sailors whispered about green fire that swallowed ships whole, and black dragons shimmering like nightmare, made flesh. Many vowed fealty that night, some out of awe, others terror. Either served. Storm's End loomed ahead 6 days later, its drum towers braced against chalk cliffs battered by roaring seas. Black flag of war flapped atop gatehouse. A white wyvern bearing Targaryen trident, Aegon's symbol. Beneath, golden company lines ringed walls with banners of chains broken, elephants rampant, spearmen gold. Within wheelhouse of dragon's grace, Tywin and Daenerys studied siege lines. Rain hammered window panes, wind moaned like ghost wolf. Tyrion scribbled notes while Marwyn traced arcane glyphs to gauge wind currents for dragonflight. Dot? The boy prince inside? Daenerys asked. Reports say he landed 3 days ago, Varys answered. Though some argue he resides in Foster Village, kept hidden. Tywin snorted. Either way, hold fast enough to stage coronation if we dally. Daenerys drew breath. Then we strike tonight. Shocked murmurs. Tywin's eyebrows rose. Night, flight, carries risk. Night hides wildfire glow, she countered. Cannot risk stray spark incinerating dragons in dark. But we need no wildfire now, we have fear. She unfolded new plan. Dragons dive from cloud cover, shrieking. Lannister war drums pound from sea, echo magnified by cliffs. Meanwhile, Grey Worm leads silent assault via old smuggler's tunnel Davos once used. Tyrion would infiltrate with Davos, guided by Stormlander turncoat. They opened Postern Gate. Unsullied surge. Tywin processed swift, then nodded. Decisive. I approve. An hour before moonrise, storm clouds smashed lightning across battlements. Guards huddled under crenels. Rain spattered torches. Suddenly, thunder of wings cut between thunder of sky. Drogon plunged, red maw spewing flame no brighter than lightning flash, but hot enough to slag ballista on South Tower. Rhaegal followed, searing walkway. Screams rose, drowned by wind. War drums on ships boomed, deep as gods' hearts. Elephants in Golden Company camps panicked. Their ropes snapped. Massive beasts stampeded through lines, trampling tents. Beneath clamor, Grey Worm squad slipped into cavernous tunnel. Barefoot over tide slick stone. Tyrion followed last, dagger in hand, Davos guiding ahead. They emerged inside Postern Gatehouse, overpowered 2 dozing guards, and hauled chains. Gate creaked. Unsullied flowed like bronze river, silent until spear points glinted. On ramparts, Aegon's household guard scrambled. Young prince, tall, silver-haired, violet eyes, appeared, wearing white cloak embroidered with red. Rain battered his face as he beheld dragons wheeling. Walls breached. Terror warred with stubborn pride. Tyrion, atop battlement, saw boy and felt jolt. Resemblance to youthful Rhaegar uncanny. For a breath he pitied him. Then Tywin's siege horns bellowed and pity drowned. Daenerys landed Drogon atop highest tower. Bone-shod talons denting stone. She dismounted as wind whipped cloak around her. Prince Aegon ascended stairs to meet her, sword drawn. Hard rain blurred their features to specters. Stand down, she called over Gale. You usurp name never yours. It is mine. His voice cracked. I bear song of ice and fire. So do all who survive this war. Her eyes blazed. Yield and I grant a keep in Dorne. He hesitated, knuckles pale on hilt. Below, unsullied cheers rose. Golden Company banners toppled. Elephants screamed. Then from lower stairwell, Connington, escaped or freed, staggered up, sword in shackled hands. "My prince, flee!" he cried. Aegon's face hardened. He lunged at Daenerys. Drogon roared, flame flicking. Lightning erupted overhead, real skyfire. In that flash, Tyrion saw Daenerys pivot swift as cat, parry blade with dragonglass bracer. She kicked, sending Prince sliding on wet stone. Connington intercepted, shielding boy. Unsullied stormed stairs. Connington slashed, but spear thrust pierced his belly. Prince screamed as his sworn father fell. Blood mixed with rain, bright crimson serpent trickling across flagstones. Daenerys advanced. Enough. Live but kneel. Aegon stared, tears and rain. One. He dropped sword. Tywin clambered onto walkway moments later, cane thudding. He surveyed scene, dragons perched, boy captured, walls manned by Unsullied. He exhaled long. Victory measured not by glory, but by outcome. By dawn, storms and banners swapped. Three-headed dragon flying alongside lion rampant. Golden Company survivors disarmed, given ultimatum, bend or board galleys to Pentos. Half bent, other half chose exile. War, it seemed, spiraled toward conclusion swiftly. Yet war's shadows linger longest. 1 week later, the combined host camped in Blackwater Rush's mouth. Tents of red and black studding fields, where Renly once paraded Rainbow Guard. King's Landing's spires visible beyond shimmering heat haze. Bells within rang, not for welcome, but alarm. High Sparrow's sermons boomed from Sept of Baelor's charred remnants. Tywin's command pavilion erected beneath willows on riverbank. Inside, he and Daenerys reviewed final assault. Tyrion stood near cask of Dornish red, swirling but not drinking. Faith militant numbers, 8,000 inside city. Varys reported. Cersei holds Red Keep, with 700 Oath Knights, and Qyburn's abominations. Silent hulks, stitched from dead. Daenerys frowned. Dragons melt walls, but Faith uses hostages, lines streets with civilians tied to stakes. We cannot burn them. Tyrion cleared throat. We starve Sparrow out. Cut aqueducts, poison wells, non-lethal, mind you, laxative herbs. When dysentery sweeps, Faith begs for parley. Risk plague we cannot control, Grey Worm cautioned. Tywin interjected. No. We breach defensible point, mud gate, fleet provides cover. Unsullied storm narrow sea gatehouses. Lannister infantry infiltrate sewers to open River Sally port. He looked to Tyrion. Your tunnels from Blackwater campaign still mapped. Memorized. Tyrion's lips twisted. But flooded by debris after wildfire battle. Then we dredge. Tywin's tone brooked no debate. Daenerys considered. Lightning flickered in her gaze. Memories of King's Landing's destruction in another world. Vision at the House of the Undying. She shook off dread. Very well. But no dragonfire within walls unless absolutely necessary. All assented. Night before assault, Tyrion walked ramparts alone. River whispered beneath. Footfalls approached. Tywin. Father eyed him, moonlight etching scars across his stern visage. You will guide sewer team? Tyrion nodded. I know stench intimately. Tywin placed a palm on parapet. Rare softness entering voice. When we take city, I intend to resign my claim to hand. I will serve as regent for Tommen until he attains majority, but you shall serve as hand to Queen Daenerys, if she calls. Tyrion blinked. Why seedy seat you chased all life? Tywin looked toward torches of distant city. Age is a stubborn tutor. I built order through fear. Yet fear cracks at first quake. This new realm demands craft I no longer wield. He met Tyrion's eyes. You do. Shock left Tyrion unguarded. Hurt mingled with pride. Strange benediction. Strange era. Tywin said, straightening. Bring it to heel. They stood silent until drums signaled midnight watch. Tywin departed. Rain began again, gentle this time. Tyrion whispered to dark. 7 save us all. Assault day dawned brilliant. Dragons circled fragile blue sky. Their shadows swept over terrified spectators on walls, Fleet drummed war beat. Scorpions bristled on crenels, but dared not loose for fear of dragons' charge. Grey Worm's vanguard dashed across lowered spikes at Mud Gate after Daenerys' diplomatic envoy delivered ultimatum, and was sent back maimed. Faith's answer. Unsullied formed shield tortoise under arrow hail. Rams smashed gate timbers. From river, Dragon's Grace catapulted stones into parapets. Meanwhile, Tyrion led 66 red cloaks through reopened sewer grate. They waded knee-deep sludge, lanterns hooded. In 15 minutes, they reached sub-crypt of River Gatehouse. Tyrion climbed, rusted ladder, oiling hinges. At top, he picked lock. Hatch creaked. He peered into dark corridor lit by single candle beside statue of Mother. "Mother forgive," he muttered, pushed. Inside, hallway empty. They fanned out. Slit throats of 2 dozing novice guards. Tyrion signaled courier pigeon. Released through vent, to alert main host. Moments later, horns outside blared. Lannister interceptor had seized battlements. Hours converged into chaos. Sparrow's zealots fought with madness, yet dragons screamed overhead, disarraying lines. Tywin's infantry pressed through Castle Gate. Grey Worm's phalanx severed Sept Plaza, capturing grain stores. In Red Keep, Cersei parleyed with Keyburn's reanimated hulks. As Unsullied neared throne room, mountain that rides lumbered into corridor swinging 8-foot greatsword. He cleaved through first ranks before Drogon's head smashed through window, jaws clamping the hulking monster mid-waist, ripping him free shower of limb. Flames finished what teeth began. Cersei watched from Iron Throne steps, wine cup trembling. Tywin strode into hall. Cloak scorched. Cane lost. Sword bare. Father and daughter locked gazes. One final reckoning. "You bring dragons to our home," she hissed. "I bring order," he said. "Surrender, Cersei, for Tommen." Her laugh cracked. "Order? Under Targaryen witch? Never." She produced dagger, advanced. Tywin did not raise blade. Instead, tears glistened in his eyes, something she had never seen. Cersei halted, confusion fracturing fury. In that beat, Tyrion emerged, flanked by Unsullied. He approached quietly. "Sister, please." She whirled, saw him alive, loathing blossoming. Yet behind loathing flickered relief. Sibling truths buried deep. She dropped dagger, collapsed. Guards seized her gently. Outside, sparrow-mounted steps of Septi remains, rallying ragged zealots. Tywin and Daenerys stood side by side on marble terrace. He addressed crowd. "King's Landing is liberated. The new realm forged by dragon and lion vows bread, not brimstone." Sparrow thundered curses. Daenerys stepped forward. Drogon roared. Yet instead of flame, she spoke scripture fragments of 7, gleaned from Varys tomes, promising sacred pact to feed poor, restore septs. Her voice, carried by natural authority, quelled murmurs. Some knelt. Many lowered weapons. Sparrow realized too late, moral ground slipped. He raised iron cudgel to strike, arrow from unseen window, loosed by archery champion of storms, and now bound to Daenerys, pierced his lung. Faith ranks faltered. Horns signaled surrender. City bells rang again. This time triumph, not alarm. 3 weeks later, coronation banners fluttered around reconstructed Dragon Pit, where Dais of Weirwood supported new dual throne. Black iron melted with red gold, forged by Taroshi smiths from melted weapons of benevolent surrender. Tommen, released from Cersei's gentle custody, sat upon smaller seat beside it, Prince Regent under watch of Tywin and Maester Pycelle's successor, a plump maester named Corrick. Daenerys approached Dais, Drogon crouching outside pit gate, docile as cat Dotto. Her coronation vestments combined Valyrian raven black scale cloak and Lannister crimson mantle, trimmed in gold thread. Tywin bore sword Heartsbane, loaned by grateful Tarly heir. Tyrion carried crown, slender circlet of 3 intertwined metals, Valyrian steel, gold and pale silver, symbol of union. Thousands watched, northern envoys, Martell sisters, ironborn emissaries, Free Cities representatives. Common folk pressed rails, eyes shining. Varys spoke oath, voice echoing through cracked dome. Do you, Daenerys Stormborn of House Targaryen, swear to defend realm and uphold justice? I swear, she answered. Do you, lords and ladies present, swear fealty? The roar, near sundered stone. Crown settled on her head. Tywin knelt. Tyrion knelt. Then rose to stand at her right. New hand chain heavy around neck, each link forged alternating gold and black iron. Daenerys lifted sword, two-handed blade newly forged from Cohoric steel, and touched each shoulder of Tywin. Rise, Lord Protector of the realm. Rising, Tywin met her gaze. In those flint-green depths, she saw storms weathered, edges honed. They nodded, contract of future sealed. Then cheers drowned. Later, in quiet solar, overlooking Blackwater glitter, Tywin sat with Tyrion, wine between them. Outside, dragons wheeled, bells rang, children played. Tywin spoke first, voice low. I once believed legacy lay only in marble and coin. Today I saw it in a crown that blended iron and gold, dragon and lion. Tyrion sipped. Hard to believe we arrived here through sewers, wildfire, and grudges. Yet we arrived. Tywin held out goblet. Tyrion clinked. On parapet, late sun-ignited river in ribbons of crimson. House colors on water. Above, Drogon's shadow passed, darkening their toast a moment before sunlight returned. Far away, storms still brewed. Ironborn plotted, winter whispered beyond neck. But for one fragile breath, realm held balance beneath wings of dragon and cunning of lion. And in that breath, the world believed tomorrow could be kinder than yesterday. Word count, he 5,540.